On the morning of March 16, 1968, U.S. Army Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson, Jr. lifted his small helicopter into the humid skies over a village called My Lai in South Vietnam. His mission was straightforward: fly low, find the enemy, and help the soldiers on the ground. But what he discovered that day would change his life and our understanding of heroism forever. As Thompson and his two crewmen, Lawrence Colburn and Glenn Andreatta, circled the village, something felt deeply wrong. They weren't taking any enemy fire. They saw no Viet Cong soldiers. What they saw were bodies, dozens of them. Old men, women, children, even infants, lying motionless in the dirt paths and rice paddies. At first, Thompson thought they were caught in a crossfire, a tragic accident of war. But as he flew lower, the horrifying truth became undeniable. He saw American soldiers rounding up unarmed villagers and shooting them. He saw entire families piled into a ditch, executed. This wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. Thompson radioed the commanders on the ground, frantically trying to stop what was happening. He was ignored. The killing continued. Hovering above, he then spotted a small group of terrified villagers, mostly women and children, huddled in a crude bunker. A squad of American soldiers was advancing on them, weapons raised. In that moment, Hugh Thompson made a choice that defied every rule of war and every instinct for self-preservation. He landed his helicopter directly in the line of fire, positioning it between the American soldiers and the helpless civilians. Turning to his crew, he gave an order that could have gotten them all killed or court-martialed. He said, "If they start shooting those people, you open fire on them. You cover me." 3 American servicemen ready to fire on their own troops to protect innocent lives. Thompson climbed out of the cockpit and confronted the American officer in charge. The air was thick with tension. It was a standoff between countrymen. After a few agonizing moments, the officer backed down. Thompson then coordinated with other helicopters to airlift the dozen or so villagers to safety. But their mission wasn't over. Flying away, his gunner, Glenn Andreatta, spotted a flicker of movement in a ditch filled with bodies. Thompson landed again. Andreatta waded through the carnage and pulled a small, wounded boy from beneath a pile of corpses. He was alive. They flew him to a nearby hospital, saving one more life from the abyss. When Thompson returned to base, he reported the atrocities he witnessed. He expected action. Instead, he was met with a wall of silence and hostility. For years, he was labeled a traitor by many in the military. He received death threats. Dead animals were left on his porch. His career was effectively ruined. He wasn't a hero. He was an outcast. But the truth has a way of coming out. The My Lai massacre eventually became public, shocking the world and forcing a reckoning. Decades later, history finally caught up with Thompson's courage. In 1998, 30 years after that horrific day, Hugh Thompson, Lawrence Colburn, and Glenn Andreatta, who was sadly killed in action just weeks after My Lai, were awarded the Soldier's Medal, the highest U.S. Army award for bravery not involving direct combat with an enemy. Thompson always rejected the title of hero. He simply said, "We were just doing our job, protecting people who couldn't protect themselves." In a situation where following orders was easy and staying silent was safe, he chose conscience. He chose humanity. And because of that choice, in the middle of a massacre, a handful of lives were saved, and a powerful lesson in moral courage was etched into history. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories of incredible people. We'll see you next time.